Hey guys, welcome to Unbothered. I'm your host, Patrick Izili. I'm currently a marriage and family therapist graduate student, and my hope in creating this podcast is to have a platform to share the things I learn as I go on this journey, and also to have some inspiring guests come on to share their stories in hopes that parts of their stories could also benefit you in your own journey. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so I can continue to provide you with some of this great content. I want to start off tell me a little bit about you. Tell me a little bit about like your childhood. How'd you grow up? Like who's Deshaun Highler from your perspective? How would you describe yourself?
Yeah. First off, I'll say I'm a mama's boy. Love my mom to death. Miss her dearly. I mean, that was my ride or die. Like that's who I am at heart. Like it was us, from the jump. It was just me and my mom my whole life. So I'll start there. I'm from Riverside, California. Uh Humble beginnings. Love basketball my whole life. Started playing when I was 2. Can't even remember day one. I mean, my mom was the one that told me I started playing at 2. Like I wouldn't even, like I don't remember when I picked up the ball. It's just always kind of been there. Um, but yeah, man, I grew up in Riverside, went to JW North High School. Um, won a little championship there, went on prep school, walked on at UTEP, ended up in JUCO at East Los Angeles College, made a little show called Last Chance U, ended up on Netflix.
Yeah.
Um, Went from there to play Division 1 at Sacramento State. Now I'm playing overseas, just trying to, just following my dream, man. Just trying to make a beautiful life out of this basketball game.
Yeah, man. I don't know if you remember when we met in Sacramento, but I feel like you've been through so many journeys ever since then.
Yeah,
Originally I saw you when I checked out the show Last Chance You on Netflix. Then at that point you're at Sac State, then now you've played overseas. But I want to walk through each of those journeys, starting off at um I guess I was gonna start off at UTEP, but let's start off in high school. What was high school like for you?
high school was a lot of fun for me. It was. I wasn't like a big partier or anything like that, but I was very social. I went to school every day. Felt like I had 100 friends. You know what I mean? We were good. We were a good basketball team. Won a lot of games, so we were popular on campus. Um, we're, like I said, Riverside's a humble little city. So being, we felt like, more or less like we were the men, we were the guys out there. So it was fun. It was fun. Just I went to my neighborhood school, like the neighborhood high school that I watched all the older players above me go to. Always wanted to go there since I was a kid. Uh,
Yeah.
it's like when you're from East Riverside, I'm from East Riverside, very proudly. Like, somebody from Riverside asked me where I'm from. I say I'm from East Riverside, to be very specific.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very proud over here. And so, yeah, my neighborhood high school is JW North. Watched many great players go through there while I was younger. Wanted to go there forever. Always wanted to win a championship there. Um, yeah, man, my freshman year. Yeah, I went through like it's funny you said that. I've been through a lot of journeys, man. Like even high school, I started out on the freshman team. I cried because all my friends made the JV team and my name didn't get called. I felt like I was the best player in my city, man. So I was like,
Yeah.
man, like I was hurt. I was hurt. Went through that, you know what I mean? Played my freshman year on the freshman team, took my anger out on those kids. And then the next year, my sophomore year, they asked me, I had developed a lot during my freshman season. Um, it was hard on me mentally, but my mom helped me get through that. And my sophomore season came up and I had a chance to play varsity, but the catch was that I wasn't going to play. I was never, I was going to be a bench warmer. And
Yeah.
luckily for me, they gave me the choice. Because a lot of times they'll just, they'll pick you and they'll say, "Oh yeah, congratulations, you made varsity, throw you on the team. You just don't play all season."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you got to kind of figure out how to get better. You got to figure out how to value that opportunity, right?
Yeah. But they
So
gave you the
luckily for
choice.
me, yeah, luckily for me, they gave me the choice and they said, do you want to do that, or do you want to play another year down there on the JV level where you can play the whole game, do whatever you want, and get the experience. Um, and really learn. And I chose that route. My mom helped me make that decision as well, because as a kid, obviously I wanted to be varsity. I wanted to be
Yeah,
the highest
exactly.
level. Yeah, I didn't want to be JV anymore. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Especially, after that first year, all my friends that had made JV while I was on the freshman team, the next year, all those friends made the varsity team while I was, still, I was still playing catch up. And,
Yeah.
and my mom taught me that that was okay. It was just, I had to love my journey. I had to run my race. And if that's where my feet were at the time, that's where I had to be. And so, I spent that year playing JV. Um, Junior year rolls around. I had a growth spurt, and I was about five. I thought I was 5'2" when I started high school, 5'5" my sophomore year. And then my junior year, I came back and I was about 6'1". And so now I was real. I looked like a real basketball player out there next to everybody, because that was a part of it. Like everybody, all my friends were taller than me. I was the shortest guy, and so when I hit that growth spurt, it was really big for me. Now I'm a decent sized guard, arms long. I could play defense. Already got that chip on my shoulder from these past 2 years that I've been struggling playing catch up. Now I feel like I was finally there. And we had our starting point guard break his hand. And so we ended up, the coach ended up switching the two guard over to the one and throwing me in the starting lineup. And, we just got on a roll after that. We ended up playing in the open division that season, losing to Bishop Montgomery, the Thompson
Yep.
brothers on, Stevie Thompson, Ethan Thompson.
Yep.
Yeah, them boys, they were cold. Lost to them first round of the open division. Played state, lost to Redondo, I believe, and then Redondo and San Marcos. And then yeah, my senior season, we came back with a vengeance, man. I think we started out like 16-1 or something like that, just rolling. And we kind of knew that we had a team to put a ring on the finger, man. Like in California, sectionals is a big deal. You know what I mean? A lot of states, like
Hmm.
you really want to win state, and of course, yeah, you absolutely want to win state in California. But in California, sectionals is also a big deal. So we always wanted that Southern Section championship. Like I said, I had grown up wanting to go to that school, wanting to win a championship there. Um, in my senior year, we did it. We ended up beating Long Beach Poly in the CIF championship by one, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I was definitely like looking that up like a little bit, and that like and I saw that, and I also saw you got like first team that year, didn't you?
Yep, I ended up getting all league that year, CIF, all CIF, all CIF team. I think I was on the second team. It was a big deal for me, man, because
Yep.
I had never, uh, I wasn't a kid that went to camps. I wasn't a kid that played for the top teams or anything like that. Like I always played for the neighborhood, and we won a championship for the neighborhood, and that was cool to me. And I played well. I had a big role on the team, so that was a big deal for me. I'd say to this day, the day we won that championship is probably still to this day the best day of my life.
What made you I guess first of all, like why was that like the best day of your life? Like what do you remember about that day
Oh, everything,
that's so
everything.
special to
Oh,
you?
I remember everything. I remember we had team breakfast at Coco's. Everybody, we got to get whatever we want. So I ate a bunch. A great breakfast. And we took the bus ride out to Anaheim. We played our games at the Honda Center. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, we took the bus ride out there. I was full from breakfast, so I knocked out, had a great nap. Got to the arena. My best friend Jonah Matthews, shout out Jonah. He just finished up in France playing for Asvel.
Uh-huh.
And my best friend had his championship game right before our game. So that was crazy to me. They won their game, so that had me feeling good. I'm like, all right, my boy just got his ring. Like now it's time for me
Gotta
to go.
get yours
Time for
too.
us. Yeah, now we
Yeah.
about to get our ring. Like it's showtime. It was amazing, man. I'm playing the game. Obviously, at that time, my mom was around, so I can look over in the stands. I see my mom there. I was really present that day. I was really present, where I really understood. like, wow, I was able to look around, see like, man, I'm in the big arena playing a championship game, got my mom right there. And then even cooler, like halfway through the game, I look over and my best friends had drove down. Like the arena is about 45 minutes to an hour from our hometown. I
Mm-hmm.
look over, I see my boys were there. I was like, hey, like it was back in high school. Don't everybody got cars? So like just to see
Yeah.
that they had made it down there, that was dope. Yeah, and then we won the game. Shoot, went home. I did party that night. Like I said, I wasn't much of a partier, but I did go out that night. We had a lot of fun that night. Yeah, man, just beginning to end, like it was just bliss, just happiness all day.
From what I can tell, like already, like speaking to you, like you have like incredible like memory. Like you definitely like remember like the details of like every like little thing. And like what I can tell from like the first time I met you, like just like your passion. And I guess that's like what I want to like touch on like a little bit. Where does that passion come from?
I think I think I had a great childhood. I think my mom really taught me how to appreciate things, really taught me how to appreciate, what I have. Like I'm able to wake up. Like I'm a guy who like people have their opinions or whatever, but like I'm a guy who like enjoys the sunset. You know what I mean? Like I'm a guy who like enjoy a walk on the beach type. You know what I mean? So
I can
like
see that. Yep.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like I enjoy I can enjoy anything. I like to find the beauty in things. That's just I don't I guess that just comes from my mom. Like I said, I had a great childhood. My mom kept me out of a lot of trouble. Um, and made everything seem like everything felt like it was all good all the time, even when it wasn't. And I can understand things like that now. You know what I mean? Like I think back, like, oh wow, like not everybody was eating grilled cheese for a week. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but back then, like I didn't know it was because you know I didn't know it was because times was rough. It just felt like a special week to me. My mom made it exciting. We got grilled cheese again. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like where I didn't even know. I didn't know that we were struggling when we were struggling. So I don't know. I guess understanding stuff like that, like even now when times are hard, it's like I could remember back and understand, like, man, when I was a kid, it was still all good. So it's all good. It's all good.
So like I definitely like understand like I mean just like listen to you talk like your mom was obviously like a big part of like your life and
Indeed.
she was like with you through everything and whatnot. um I also like know you lost both of your parents at like a young age. Like what I feel like typically like a situation like that, that'll like make most people like fold and just kind of like give up, go crawl like in the corner or something, and just kind of like just stop doing whatever they're doing. But like with you, it seems like the opposite. And I feel like that almost like ignites your fire. It's like a whole another like level. How do you find the strength to keep? I mean, because that's not like something to really like gloss over. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, that's like your mom, and like you guys like were really tight. Like,
Yeah.
so like what gives you the strength to truly keep going, like despite that hardship?
Yeah. Again, like my mom taught me how to overcome things. And my mom taught me one of the things that, one of the main things that she taught me was, not not having excuses, right? Like not being the guy that let the dream slip because of this, or not being the guy that didn't work hard because he was, felt down about his try. You know what I mean? I've understood for a long time that you get one life. You get to do this once. Um, and just because I went through something that's tough doesn't mean I can, doesn't mean that I should, just let myself fall off. You know what I mean? Like there's trauma, there's things that definitely stop me and hold me down for a time where I get into my thoughts and I can't focus. Uh,
Mm,
you know, just getting caught in memories and what ifs and damn, why me? You know what I mean? It's not that I don't have those moments, right? I just don't let them cripple me. I have those moments and I feel them
yeah.
often. I'm like to this day. Um, it's hard. It's not just, it's been 5 years since my mom passed, and it doesn't get any easier, right? Like, you
Hmm.
just, I guess what I've tried to do is stack accomplishments and stack happiness in spite of that, almost as if I see that as an enemy. I see my trauma as my enemy, and I've never been one to succumb to the enemy.
Hmm.
I'm always defeat. I'm always fight the obstacle. Um, and it hasn't been the healthiest thing. I still feel like I still feel like there's grieving that I haven't really done properly, and that I should um,
Hmm.
see a therapist for that. And I'm getting into that this summer. Pretty excited about that. But yeah, man, it's like, I guess that's what I would want people to know, is that it's not that I don't feel those things. It's not that when you go through the pain and you see someone overcome it and you see it's like, wow, he's so strong. It's like, doesn't even phase them. It's not that at all. It's not that it doesn't phase the person. It's just that that person has decided to not lose to that obstacle, no matter how
Yeah.
difficult, no matter how painful it is. You can't let it defeat you.
I really appreciate that answer. Um, but like over these 5 years, that's like something that doesn't get like any easier. Like over the course of your lifetime, they say time heals all. But I feel like that's like one thing. Like time doesn't heal.
Yeah.
Um, but how do you cope with it? And like, who is there anyone? Do you have like a support system that like helps you like cope with something like that? How do you like cope with it? How do you find the strength to like keep going on a daily basis? Like obviously like you haven't like addressed it like yet, like fully. But like
Mhm.
how do you get the strength to like keep doing all the things that you're doing on a daily basis? The strength to even get out of bed, let's say that.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's just, for me, it's really simple, and it's that I owe my mom. My mom gave everything for me, not only my basketball career, just for me to be a good human being, like, just for me to be a good man. My mom sacrificed
Mm.
everything to raise me, and I owe it to her. Before, when she was here, I wanted to, everybody wants to retire their mom, buy her a house, buy her a car, things like that. I can't do things like that anymore.
Yeah.
What I can do, right, is give her $1 million, $1 billion worth of effort every day. I can still do that. She
It's
raised
real.
me
It's
to
real.
to 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 fight for the things that I want. To fight for my dreams, to fight for my goals, um, and to succeed and to win despite anything. And so, the ways that she sacrificed for me to learn how to do that, all I can repay her with is my effort these days.
That's real, man. Let's switch to like a little bit of like a lighter topic. Let's go back to basketball.
Mhm.
Um, what made you fall in love with the game of basketball?
You could do it by yourself. I was the only child, so um, I mean, it was just, you got the ball in the hoop. I think, it's one of the only sports that you can just go out there for hours by yourself and really just have a good time. Just you, the ball, the hoop. Um, yeah, I think it was just that simple for me. And then obviously the self expression and the creativity comes out later. But as far as what drew me to it and what kept me in it, and why basketball was the sport, because I was the only child, and I could just take my ball and go play whenever I wanted,
Yeah.
and feel
Is
like I was in a game. Like, I could feel like I was really playing with other people, even though I was just by myself.
is there anyone like you kind of like looked up to that drew you to the sport?
Yeah, Allen Iverson. Allen
Okay.
Iverson. My mom says, yeah. So Allen Iverson, I remember just being a fan. But that's another thing that I can't even tell you. Like, I don't even remember the first game I saw him or anything like that. I was just an Allen Iverson fan from a kid. Like, when I was when I was younger. I guess I saw him on the TV, and he's just eyes glued. Like that's his style of play. I don't know what it was, but I guess when I was just a youth, that's what drew me to it.
Yeah. Going back on the topic of, let's see here, going back on the topic of like your mom for like a little bit. Um, Actually, let's go back to your time at UTEP. You're a
Sure.
walk. You're a walk on at UTEP.
Yep.
How's that experience for you? Like, how'd that go? How,
It was one of the greatest. It was one of the best years of my life, honestly. It was just a great learning experience. It was my first time like out living on my own. Uh, and not only that, I was worlds away in my eyes. I had never stayed that far away from home for that long. And and yeah, it just proved to me who I could be as a basketball player, right? Because in high school and even the year after high school, I watched a lot of guys that I know get offers and get looks, and you feel like when that happens, you feel like, man, like I'm better than this guy, I'm better than that guy, I deserve this offer or whatever. Um, and they didn't come. So my plan was to pick the school that had, good interest in me. The assistant coach at the time, Bobby Braswell, another big part of my journey at that time, who was a great voice for me and kept me going. Um, he was the assistant coach. He was the one recruiting me, and he told me like, look, I think you can compete with the guys that we've offered. I think we got two other guards, but if I'm talking to you personally, I think you can mess with them. And I think you should, he told me, I think you should come out. And if you have a good year, just pay for a year of school. And if you have a good year, we'll offer you. And so, I mean, I had confidence. I looked up the school. UTEP is Glory Road. If for anybody that's seen the movie Glory Road, that's UTEP. Great basketball history. They have the Sun Bowl there. So I was excited. I was like, wow, this felt like a real big college for me. Um, so yeah, I went there, and immediately I just got to work, kept my head down, doing anything that the coach asked of me. We were playing scout team. And
mm,
I'm on the scout team. I'm not taking it lightly. Like, most guys on the scout team, they'll compete. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're not really trying to go at the first team like that. And I was trying to score every time. I didn't care. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and looking back on it, it was really kind of like, I could see why some guys didn't, appreciate that as much, because I didn't care if they had confidence about guarding the other team, or like I didn't care if
Can
we
see that.
demoralized them. I didn't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was there to take something. I was there to take somebody's spot, and it worked. Like the coach had told me that if I had a good year, right, a whole year, that maybe there'd be a scholarship. But we had a bunch of things happen with players, and we ended up with like 4 scholarships open after the first semester. So after the first semester, this is like December, and the coach is like, he's like, hey, like, congrats, like we're gonna give you one.
Oh wow.
I was over the
Oh
moon. I was over the moon. I was so happy. I was like, it worked. Like my plan, the master plan
yeah.
worked. Like I got it. I did it. And then 2 weeks later, we're playing a game against Lamar. I'll never forget it. Playing a game against Lamar, and our head coach turns around. We're losing, and our head coach turns around to the coaches and says, "That's it." I didn't know what it meant. And after the game, he retired. So yeah, he was having health issues, so it's good that he had to go. Yeah, I mean, it's not good that he had to go handle that, but it's good that he did go and handle it. Uh,
Yeah.
but that would sucked for me, because now I'm back to
Whole,
square one. Like,
whole new system in place.
well, and when the head coach retires, what happens is you get an interim coach for the rest of the season, and then after the
Mhm.
season, they make a decision on whether they're going to keep that interim coach,
Okay.
or if they're going to get a whole new complete staff, right? And if a whole new complete staff comes in, might as well kiss your spot goodbye, because he's gonna bring in his guys. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, like, So I'm hoping and praying. I'm like, man, like, Coach Floyd retires. Coach Braswell tells me he can see the writing on the wall. So he's kind of like, he tells me, he's like, look, like I don't know if we're gonna get the job. Like, and that was him basically telling me we're not gonna get the job. Um, but he told me, like, I'm gonna fight for you. I'm gonna try and get you this scholarship to put you in a better position um for whatever comes next. Because when you're transferring out of a school like that, trying to find another place to play, your
Mm-hmm.
resume matters, right? And so right now, all I had on my resume officially was walk on. I didn't have scholarship. I didn't have scholarship player, let alone walk on to scholarship
Yeah.
player in one semester, which really would say something, right? And so
Uh-huh.
Braz, he understood that for me, and he tried to get that done for me. But it didn't end up working out, and I ended up having to pay, both semesters. Um, Coaches got sacked. New staff comes in, tells me they don't even want me back as a walk on.
So just like that, like you can lose your scholarship just like that.
Just like that. Well, yeah, shoot, I never even had one. It was like
It's,
it slipped
I,
right through my
I see
fingers.
it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, for everybody, even for the guys, I mean, I think there was two guys that stayed.
It's like
Like the whole team of scholarship guys, like guys who actually had scholarships,
the
had
ones
to
that
figure it out.
the ones
Everybody
that
was in the same boat,
the ones that came in with a scholarship, like it was still the same
right?
situation for them.
Same situation. Even those guys, like
Wow,
even a
that's
lot of those guys were told, like, thanks, but don't come back. Like,
wow.
find somewhere else. Yeah, it's
Okay.
cutthroat. That was my first introduction to the business aspect of it, and understanding that just because you work hard and just because you deserve it doesn't mean that you're gonna get it,
Yeah.
and that you can be this close. You can be this close, and it all, and you get knocked back to square one. And what is that? You have to decide what you're gonna do about that. You got to decide how you're gonna respond to that, because you're going to go
So
through that as a player. Every player is going to go through that at some point. No, I
yeah.
don't care if you're a league bound dude who's the number one in your class. I don't care how good you are. You're going to get to a point
Hmm.
where it's tough, and you got to decide how you're going to respond to that.
So at that point, like what were like obviously I can guess like what your emotions like were, but like what was the plan after that? Like what was the plan you came up with? Like and the people like around you, like in your ear, like what were they telling you to do? Like what was like the best option after that that like eventually like led you to East LA?
Yeah, so I had two really solid options that I was considering. I called my AAU coach, who was kind of like like more or less my mentor in this whole basketball
Mm-hmm.
journey, right? So I called him. He's the one who's been with me the longest through all this. So I called him, asked him what I should do, and he said, like, let's go. You can go to a national JUCO, or you can come to ELAC. Him and Coach Mosley are close. He had sent players there before. He knew that Coach Mosley was a good man, good coach, and that he would take care of me. But he also knew that, for my basketball resume, the best move would probably be to go to a national JUCO. Um, and our assistant coach from UTEP, one of the coaches who had just been let go, ended up getting the head coaching job at Odessa College out in Texas. He's still there,
Okay.
Coach Bucket. Shout out Coach Bucket. That's
Okay.
my guy. Um, he ended up at a national junior college called Odessa College, and he wanted me to come. He offered me to come play with him, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I was considering it. But at the time, my mom was getting really, really sick, and I just really wanted to spend as much time with her as possible. I wanted her to
Yeah.
get to see me play again, at least as much as she could.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that's the main reason why I decided to come home and go to East Los Angeles. And then on top of it, just being home in general was it just felt comfortable for me at the time. Having just come out and failed in my eyes. Not failed completely, but I had come out here with this plan and it worked until it didn't. And I was kind of feeling down about that. And so I felt like I felt like I needed to be in a good environment for me. And I felt like the best environment mentally with everything going on. Um, losing my dad and with my mom being sick, I felt like the best place for me was to go back home.
Um, if I may ask this question, how long did you find out she had cancer before she unfortunately passed away 5 years ago?
Yeah, it was 3 years. So it was 2015, the summer. Yeah, the summer of 2015. And then she was sick for my senior season, sick for my prep school year. Then I went to UTEP, came home, and I came home in May of 2018, and she passed in October.
Then if I like with your dad, what happened with your father?
My father was never really in my life. Um, that's a that's a story between him and my mom. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a typical story of father just abandoning. It wasn't that. It was something different, but
Were you
wasn't in
ever
my life.
were you ever close with them?
Never close with him. I've only had a handful of conversations with him. I could probably count on one hand how many times I've spoken to my father. um but
Okay.
yeah, 2017, April 2017. It was a time when I was maturing and I was understanding that you get one set of parents, and that nobody's perfect, that everybody's just doing the best with what they know, right? Trying to do their best, right? And so I was coming to an age where I was starting to forgive them, wanted to have more conversations like that with them. And right when I started to feel like that, right when I started to turn that corner, my brother texted me and said that he had passed away. Um, ended up uh, ended up having an overdose in his car in his garage, and that ended up passing of carbon monoxide poisoning while he was in there. So unfortunate that we never got to find a common ground. With him. I got my half brother and my two half sisters that are all his kids. It would have been great if we could have one day, came together and hashed things out, or just even had just a good day together. But that's not my story. That's not how it went. Um, and it's kind of the same thing that I have with my mom, right? We can't have a relationship anymore, right? But I can try to understand and I can try to forgive him more and more as time goes by.
Having your half siblings, did that like were you guys able to be like there for each other like when that situation happened? Your half siblings from your father's side, were you guys able to support each other during those difficult times?
It wasn't. I would say that part wasn't really necessary because none of us were close with our father. None of us were close with our dad.
I see.
So it wasn't nobody. I think my older brother, so my half brother, he's the oldest out of us. I think he might have taken it the hardest because I think our dad was around for him the most. When he was a kid, he actually spent time with our dad. And so did my younger sisters, but not as much as my older brother did. I barely spent any time with them. Um, so yeah, it was more his passing was, in hindsight, served more as a kind of a unifying vehicle for us, in the sense that I found my sisters almost through that event. I had never spoken to my sister, so I guess I should say that too. I had never had contact with any of my half siblings up until I was 14. I think is when I met my brother for the first time. And by then he was already, I think he was 19, 20 maybe. Um, yeah, and then I didn't. And that was in shoot 2012, and then I didn't meet my sisters until after my mom had passed. So, and it was both of those processes were kind of the same. Like my brother messaged me on Facebook, I think, or
Yeah.
Instagram maybe, and was like, "Hey, I think we're brothers." And then my sisters, like when we were, when that time came, I think it was like 2018, 2019. My sisters messaged me like, "Hey, I think we're siblings. Like, I think your dad is my dad." uh,
Wow.
we have a unique last name, so on
Yeah.
social we all use it. So, we social media brought us together. We talked about, like, what's your relationship with dad? What's your relationship with dad? Like, okay, okay, okay. Shared experiences. Um, we have a decent relationship now, but speaking for myself, I was the only child my whole life, just with my mom, like I said, so never really having, um, like I had my aunt and my cousin that stayed close to us, but that
Mhm.
was that was it. That was our whole family. I didn't have a bunch of aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, nothing. So I'm not used to maintaining those relationships or having those relationships.
Yeah.
So I still go ghost a lot, and I know that frustrates them. I know they probably wish that we talked more, but I think for my brother, it's more or less the same. I think my sisters are the only ones, because my sisters have about 10, shoot, maybe like 10 siblings outside of my father. So um, they have a big family. They're used to that, and they're the ones that are always telling me like, "Man, we haven't talked to you in a while. Like, how have you been?" Da, da, da. And it's not because I don't want to talk to anybody. It's just because I never talked to anybody ever in my
Yeah.
life. So
That's just, I mean, that's all you're used to. Like, so
all,
like
yeah,
it's kind of hard to.
yeah. Even with Kiera, like you asked if I had a support system. Um, I have my girlfriend,
Hmm.
her family, she has
Yeah.
she has a big family. And even them, you know what I mean? They'll be like, "Hey, we haven't heard from you in a while. And we haven't, we don't, you got to call me." Da, da, da. Her grandpa, me and her grandpa are tight. Me and her dad are tight, her uncles. And they're always like, "Man, like call, reach out." And it's just not natural for me. So,
Yeah. But that's a great transition. You and your girlfriend. How did you guys meet?
we met on Instagram, man. Like we met on social media. And, when she saw I was going through something. She has a really big heart. And she saw I was going through something. She would send me nice messages from time to time, just like, "Hope you're okay." Um and yeah, man, when my mom died in October 2018, and that Thanksgiving, that next month, she was going out to feed homeless people on Thanksgiving, and was like, she had put it on her story like, "Yo, anybody want to go?" And I didn't have anything to do on Thanksgiving because I would have been with my mom. So
Yeah.
I wanted to stay busy. And I had been thinking about it leading up to Thanksgiving, like, "Man, what am I gonna do? I'm not trying to just be sad all day." So I was like, "I want to go." Like I responded to the story, like, "I want to go with you." And so that was our first date, feeding homeless people on Thanksgiving. It was amazing. Ever
That's
since then, I think we just hung out every day since then.
wow. But yeah, like I mean, just kind of like following you on like on social media and stuff like that. I don't think I ever like you guys are always together. Like,
Yeah.
what's can you tell us that secret like a little bit? Like, what's the secret to like a relationship like the one you guys have? Like to having like that trust, that closeness. Like, how do you guys do it for like this long and like instantly off the bat? Because I mean, you guys started like going out pretty much like not too long after you guys met. It's like how have you guys sustained that? And like what's the secret to sustaining that for
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah. I guess I would say shoot, man, we don't. First of all, let me just say, like, we don't have it all figured out. Like, we're just like any other couple. We don't. We have our, our disagreements, our arguments,
Yeah.
but our sacrifice. You know what I mean? Our commitment to peace with each other, our commitment to conflict resolution, because she comes from chaos. We both come from chaos, and when you come from chaos, you want peace, and we're willing to seek that. We're willing to
Yeah.
be that for each other, through thick and thin. We get on each other's nerves, but we understand that that life is harder than a relationship, and that we can figure this out, and that things that we'll go through in our individual lives, like, we're gonna need each other. We're gonna need each other's support to handle those things, and that we can,
Hmm.
when we figured out, as soon as we figured out that we could lean on each other, I think that was the moment that it was like, okay, like we can make it through anything, because that's hard to find. It's somebody
Yeah.
who is gonna watch you be at your
Hmm.
lowest, who is gonna have like who's gonna we get frustrated with each other sometimes not even frustrated with each other, sometimes just life is hard, right? And you might mess up your mood, and you might come home and not want to talk. You might not want to hang out that day, and
Yeah.
have a person that says that that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, let me know, I'm here when you feeling better. To have that person is like, and not the person that's like, what? You don't want to talk to me? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna find somebody. Yeah, you must not like me. Blah, blah, blah. I think also what it comes down to is that we don't care about outside anything. To be honest, like, we really don't. Um, like, we don't, like, we post we have some posts on Instagram from time to
Hmm.
time, just because she deserves her honor, and I'm always gonna post her on her birthday, always gonna post her on our anniversary and stuff. But from that, like, we're not like this like super IG'd out couple, you know what I mean, seeking the attention and stuff like that. I'm not in a we're not in a relationship just to say that we're in a relationship. Like, we're actually support for one another.
Yeah.
I mean, she's taught me all about things that she's been through. Oh, somebody called me there.
You're good. But yeah, something that like surprised me, like just kind of like doing like my research on you and like whatnot. Um, I believe like not too long, I think like not too long after you guys met, like you were able to like essentially like cry in like in her presence and whatnot. And she was there for you like in that moment. And I
Yeah,
feel like that's a very like rare situation. I feel like in most cases, like if that happens, like the girl would like literally like sprint out the door. It's like
exactly, right.
like
But just because
I want
that's man, that's the times we're in, right, man? Like, man can't cry
yeah.
about nothing, and it's like, and that's just not true. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, fellas, there's women out there that'll let you cry. You know what I mean? There's women out there that have been through things, that understand pain. You know what I mean? And that understand what
Yeah.
strength looks like, right? Because
Mhm.
crying ain't weakness, man. Like, everybody has to cry. Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna go through something that, like, you gonna need to let out some tears. Um, you know what I mean? And she understood that from me. Like, I just lost my mommy. That's my mom.
Yeah.
And
But
you know, I mean, she absolutely understood. I mean, it's times where we go out on a date, and I'll just space out, and she wouldn't be like,
she gets it.
hello. You know what I mean? Like, she'd just come sit next to me, put her arm around me, because she knew, she knew.
Because that emotional like maturity is also like very like impressive. Like she
Yeah.
knew, but still like you guys are still. You're what like 25 now at this point. Like
So when we first started dating, I was 20.
exactly.
I was 20, and I'm 25 now. So yeah, I mean, that was the time that I'm talking about. Yeah, I was 20 years old. She was 21.
Yeah. Wow.
Big
That's
deal.
that's awesome, man. But let's talk about your time at East LA like a little bit. So you made a decision. You eventually went to like East LA. Um, how was your time at East LA? And like particularly, how was like from as a fan, like watching the show, how was like playing for like a coach like John Mosley? Like I like I know you guys already had like a relationship and whatnot, but like still nevertheless, like just off of like watching the show, like he seems like someone that's very like intense, like over the top.
Oh
Like
yeah.
what's your view of him and like how was that experience like playing for him?
Oh yeah. I mean, Mo. First and foremost, Mo's the man. Like I mean, he's just one of the greatest men that you'll ever meet, ever.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? Like real love, and real care for individual situations. You know, he doesn't try to cookie cutter anybody. You know, he doesn't try to make he doesn't have a one size fits all program. Like he
Mm-hmm.
takes his time, and if you're willing to change, and if you're willing to grow, he's willing to help you always. And so that's the first thing I'll say about him is just great man off the rip, just a great father figure. I'm very blessed to have him in my life. Playing for him, playing for him. I mean, it's just as frustrating as playing for any other coach.
Yeah.
But the difference with Mo is that he's frustrating on purpose because he knows exactly what he's trying to prepare you for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mo is uh, authentically annoying. I'll say that is that like on when you playing for him, he's authentically annoying. In that in the best way possible, and by that I mean he's gonna hold you to the details. He's gonna make sure your jump stop is perfect. He doesn't care if your shot went in. What did your feet look like? What was your spacing like? You know what I mean? Real basketball. You know, he wants to teach you real basketball. He wants to teach you how to survive in a real basketball, real business environment. Um, because JUCO doesn't have to be cutthroat, right? Like we played against a lot of teams where, you know, a lot of programs, no disrespect to anybody, everybody does their own thing, but a lot of programs aren't run like high level 4-year college programs. Coach Mosley runs his program that way on purpose in order to prepare you. He's as annoying as possible to prepare you for that coach that is annoying, but not on purpose, who's
Yeah.
who that's just who he is. You know what I mean? And you got to figure out how to deal with that. And so Mo, like he's a cool guy, and it'll shock you because he's really cool off the court. He'll be your
Yeah.
best friend off the court. And as soon as you're between the lines, as soon as he gets that little ELAC t-shirt on, it'd be a
It's,
wrap. You know what I mean? Like it's like he's now he's your coach. Now he's teaching you. Now he's screaming at you. Now he's barking at you. Now nothing you say is right. It don't even matter if you're right. You can be as right as you want to be. It's his way or the highway, and that might seem really really, you know, dictatorish or boot campish when you're there. It might seem
mm-hmm.
unnecessary while you're there, but then you move on. And that's what he told me, and it ended up being true. I didn't think it was going to be true, but he ended up telling me, you know, like, you when you leave here, because I didn't want to be at ELAC. I didn't want to be at ELAC, especially not for my second year. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to go to JUCO. I wanted to go straight from UTEP to another D1. But as we know, I didn't get that scholarship.
Yeah.
That became
Yeah.
impossible. So I had to go JUCO. I didn't even want to be there, let alone for a second year. And he told me, you know, when you leave here, you're gonna wish you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it. And I do. And I do because for all the ways that coach is annoying or on your back or doing too much, um, he's also doing too much at the financial aid office for you, making sure that you get all your money. He's also talking to your teacher, making sure they don't, you know what I mean, that assignment that you might mess up on because you got this game that, you know what I mean, like that you might get to make it up or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, and he's never going to give you a shortcut. He's never going to go holler at a teacher and be like, yo, pass him. And, you know, he's never going to do anything like that. He's not a cheater. He's always going to make you do things the right way. You know, but he'll stick his neck out. He'll stick his neck out for you. And when you move on from there, you realize what that means for
But like
sure.
it's safe to say like the way he is on the show is exactly who he is like in real life and who he
Oh
was on
yeah.
a day-to-day basis.
Oh yeah. Might even say that's a diet version.
Yeah.
Real
Okay.
talk.
Okay.
Real
Yeah.
talk. He's nuts. He's nuts. He has a lot of energy. Don't know where he gets it from. But yeah, dude's nuts.
Yeah.
He's a character. He's a character.
Yeah.
He's a special one. He's one of God's favorites for sure.
But something else I do know that like you guys were able to like connect on, and he was able to like speak to how much he was able to like help you like with that process like after your mom passed. Because I know like he has like just like doing research, I know he has like a similar background like with both of his
Mhm.
parents like passing early on as well. So
Yeah.
speak to like how much of like a help like he was in assisting you through that process, that grieving process, and just like the technical aspects of getting that handle.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad you said the technical aspect because it was everything. I mean, Mo was just an integral piece of that whole process when my mom passed away. He put me, I mean, not only was he there for me,
Mm-hmm.
on day to day, asking me how I'm doing, making sure that I'm okay, you know what I mean, and um, making sure that I responded like a man and didn't respond like a kid. Um, Helping me understand how to respond as a man was huge for me. And that I had to keep handling my business because that's what my mom would want me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Was huge for me, and I needed that every day. I needed that every day. Uh, and so there was that, but I mean, on top of that, he put me in contact with lawyers. You know what I mean? He was showing me processes of you need to do this, then you need to do this, then you need to talk to this person, then you need to go here, you need to go to the county and get this, and you need to take the car here and do this, and it's like stuff that I wouldn't have known, stuff that
Yeah.
nobody around me knew. You know,
Yeah.
and coming from a place that I could trust. Coming from a place that I could trust, and I knew he wasn't trying to take advantage of me because there's other people. There's other people in your life during that process that you could probably ask for some guidance, but you're not really confident in what they're going to tell you because you
Yeah.
don't know their
That's
intentions behind
yeah.
it. And
That's
so
real.
Mo was um, just a real straight shooting guiding force for me during that time. Absolutely. In every way.
How like the shooting of that Netflix special come about?
I don't know. So okay, so what I'll tell you what I know, but behind this, like I don't know how they chose ELAC. All I know
Uh-huh.
is that one day Mo asked me, have you ever seen Last Chance You? I'm like, yeah, I love that show. He's like, they want to come here. And I was like, I like got excited immediately. He was like,
Yeah.
but he didn't know if he wanted to do it. He didn't know if he wanted to do it because he didn't know how he would come off to an audience and things like that. And um, I ain't gonna take credit for the whole thing now, but I told him like you'll be okay. Like you're not like like
Yeah.
you're a good man. You're a good man. Like you're literally a deacon, bro. Like no one's, what I mean, like you're not getting. No one's gonna see it. No one from the school is gonna like see the show and be like, "Oh, we got to get rid of this guy." Like,
Yeah.
good coach. Like you're a good man, coach. Don't worry about that. If that's what you worry about, don't worry about it. I could see if he was worried about like, oh, it might affect the season or it might da 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 da. Da. He wasn't worried about that. he was like, oh no, I'll control that. Like
It
you know,
was it was more so of like the portrayal of like just the team and like everybody.
and how he controlled that, right? Like he didn't,
Yeah.
like because as you see on the show, he'll bark at you. You know what I mean? And he'll tell you, like, this is my house. Like this is my house, and you don't have a choice but to do what I say. Like he'll put that on wax. You know what I mean? He was just a little apprehensive about how that would come off.
Yeah.
Understandably.
I see.
Understandably. I mean, the two, truth be told, the two coaches, before him had both lost their job. So
Mm.
it was understandable that he was kind of like iffy about it, like, should we do it or should we not do it? And I was like, coach, like, this will change our life, bro. Like ain't no time to be like, ain't no time to be, I don't know. Ain't no time for I don't know
Yeah.
right now. You better go tell those people to show up. Like,
Yeah, and I feel like it did change your life, like in a major way, obviously, and we'll
oh
speak
yeah.
to that. But how was it like playing under the circumstances, like knowing every little thing was being filmed? Like, did that affect the way you guys played realistically? I know you said it didn't, but like realistically, like having like a camera, like you don't know like what's gonna be portrayed on TV, what they're actually gonna put, etc. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, so yeah, so it didn't affect any like it didn't affect any like any way that we acted. Like I said, coach is
yeah.
authentically annoying, and I think we were authentically frustrated. You know what I mean with him. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
and just with the whole situation of our life, man. Like that was our life. It wasn't nobody was acting. You know what I mean? Like Joe wasn't
Uh,
acting like a
yeah.
kid who was this close to being an all-American and was now playing in East Los Angeles College. Like that was really his life. That was authentically
Wow.
frustrating for him. He authentically wanted to cuss somebody out and beat somebody up every day. You know what I mean? Like that was real.
Yeah.
I really lost my parents. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
really came from not being recruited at all. You know what I mean? To now being the captain of this team, now kind of being in charge of like whether we win or not. You know what I mean? And how well we play. And like everything was
It's
real.
real. Yeah.
But to your point, yeah, there was times where we would finish an interview and I'd be like, ooh, like, oh, you know, I don't know about you know what I mean? They'd be filming something, I'd be cussing
Yeah.
somebody out, and I'd see the camera out the corner of my eye, and like quickly, you know, I mean, I'm telling myself, like, no, you can't change for it. You know what I mean? Like you can't, like
Yeah.
it was so intense, like it was so intense that I think like if anybody was gonna be different, they would have to dial themselves back and try to
Mhm.
calm down. And there was no, there it just wasn't nobody was able to do that with the environment and with the circumstances that we were in. I mean, you all the way down the bottom of the bench, you had guys who felt like they deserved more and were willing to fight for that every day. And so it wasn't no like, let me be nice for the camera. Like we were really like trying to go to school. We were really trying to get scholarships out here. Um, so
Was
yeah, as far as how you act, nah, not really no different. But afterwards, oh, speaking for myself, I was kind of, there was times for sure that I was like, I don't know if I should have said that. Fuck it.
yeah, because like there has to be like a part of like thinking like, will this like affect like the offers I get like after this or whatever, like
A
because
little
of how.
bit, a
Yeah.
little bit,
Okay.
a little bit. Well, for me, I think I was thinking a lot bigger than that. Um, I was thinking just how you know,
Okay.
opportunities in the future. You know what I mean? Building an audience. Um, I wasn't I wasn't you know like catering like to an image that I was trying to create. I wasn't
I
kid
see. I
I
see.
was just trying to be authentic and tell my truth. Um while also not trying to be too, you know, not trying to be, you know,
Yeah.
too much
Too
of an
much.
asshole. That's
Yeah.
all. That's all I was trying to do is just not trying to be too much of an asshole, but it's just I don't know, it just kind of, I guess it just kind of comes out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the passion that you have is definitely just,
It's
yeah,
just there, man. It's just
bleeds
there.
through you for sure.
Yeah.
But let's speak to like the fame part that comes after it. Like
Yeah.
how sudden was that, and like how much of like an impact did that have on you, good and bad?
Yeah, it was quick. It was quick. I think I went from I had 10K in one day, like literally, I mean hours. Hours had over 10,000 followers on Instagram. I had
Wow.
1400 the night like on it came out March 10th, 2021. My birthday was literally the day my birthday is March 9th. So it was my birthday the day before.
Okay,
Um,
March 17th over here. So
oh,
I
right
mean,
on. Shout out March Gang. Yeah, shout out March Gang. So yeah. Um, yeah, so it came out the day after my birthday, and you know, on my birthday, the day before, me and Kiara were talking about it because we had, you know, naturally we had kind of like looked up some of the past guys that had been on the show and like kind of like what they had done with it.
Uh-huh.
And one thing that was consistent was they all had a bunch of Instagram followers, and so we
Mm-hmm.
knew for sure like that was gonna happen. Um, it was just a matter of how many. Like, I mean, the number that we've gotten to is insane. I didn't imagine it getting past 100K. Truth, like
Yeah.
to tell you the truth, I didn't imagine. I thought I'd end up with like 60, maybe 60,000 followers. That's 80K. You know what I mean? And then we cracked 100. We were like, whoa, like that's a lot.
I mean, I could definitely see that, like without a doubt. I mean, your personality is definitely some,
It
bro.
was, hey, yo, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was yeah, it was unexpected. So we're and then it was just day after. I mean, during that time when the show had first came out, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot at a time, like to where like I mean, man, I couldn't. I would refresh my message requests and have like wouldn't be able to scroll down to
Wow.
what was on the screen before. You know what I'm saying? Like I would
That's,
have a set of messages
I
and
don't know
I'd
what
see those.
I don't know what you're saying, but I mean,
So you know how you open up you know how you open up, what I mean, your text messages or your messages, you see all your messages right there,
uh-huh. Yeah.
and then you refresh, you scroll it up, and you refresh,
Mm-hmm.
they'd all be gone and it'd be a completely new set, and I would try
That's
to scroll down to the ones that I was just looking at, couldn't find them,
that is wild.
couldn't find
That
them.
is wild.
Just all just man, it was crazy. It was crazy. It
Uh,
felt fake. It felt fake.
Would you say, well, first of all, like, what would you say are like the pros of having like an audience that big, and like, what are the pros? Then what are the cons?
The pros, connecting with people, first of all, is connecting with people who relate to your story. The amount of people who have reached out to me and have just been like, hey, like I had a parent that's sick, or I have a parent that's sick, or I am sick. And your story helped me. You know what I mean? Like that is worth it all to me. Like that's the greatest reward to me, is knowing that that my story resonates with that many people, and that the way that I went about it, I feel vindicated, and now I feel like I did the right thing by telling my story, by telling my mom's story, because my mom was a really private person, you know what I mean? And if she, I
Yeah.
don't know how she would have felt with us being on Netflix, you know what I mean? And
Sure.
so when all that happened, it kind of made me feel like, okay, like, you see, mom, like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I shared, we shared it for a reason. And yeah, I mean, like the overwhelming just wave of people who just relate to us and
Yeah.
just are going through things. Like, man, everybody's going through something,
Because
you
I
know.
would have to say, like, when I'm definitely like in a specific like mode or whatever, I would like always like watch something I can like relate to, just to give me like a certain like feeling.
For
And
sure.
I believe like the episode titled your with your mom's name, like
Mm,
every time I would try to like elicit like a certain like feeling, I was like feeling like low, I'll definitely like watch that episode. It's like, I mean, to just kind of like, and it just like made me feel like better. Like, so I
wow.
mean, just like, I mean, so yeah, like it's
Right
definitely
on,
like,
bro.
yeah, it's definitely like powerful for sure. And
Yeah.
I mean,
So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
man.
So like all the people, like everybody who feels that, I'm glad you said that, man. And I appreciate that, because that's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. That's what it was for. It was hard, it wasn't hard. I mean, it was hard. It's hard to share. It's hard to share that story. You know what I mean? It's hard to be known for that.
Yeah.
Like where and it's hard. People mean well. Um, People always mean well, and I love them all. But it's hard when a random stranger comes up to you and it's just like first thing they say to you is, "Hey, sorry about your mom," and it's like, "Thanks." You know what I mean? Like it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I know you mean well, and I appreciate that, and I know you just found out that happened to me, but it's like, so you say good and bad. It's not that part is bad. Uh,
Uh-huh.
it's just there's a there's a feeling that you have, being kind of known for the trauma in your life. It's just that knowing that
Mm-hmm.
people relate to that and people draw something from that, as you said, when um,
100%.
knowing that that's the case makes it worth it, for sure. For sure, it makes it worth it.
I mean, but to your point, like, I mean, obviously, like, it's like your real life. So, like, you would say, like, it probably does. Would you say, like, it makes you, like, like, just, like, relive, like, I mean, because that's obviously something that's traumatic to you at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So people, like, coming up to you, obviously, like, it's helpful and it's a good thing. But does it kind of, like, take you back, like, a little bit to, like, those dark times sometimes when
Yeah, I
that does
mean,
happen?
yeah, I mean, just you know, just being, just being the guy from Last Chance. Sometimes people don't sometimes people don't even remember my name. They just remember
Yeah.
my story and what I've been through, which is cool, which is
Mhm.
great, but at the same time, like, I understand that, I understand, and I feel that, and it's like, it's not bittersweet. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
I shared my story, and that's what people know about me. Um, and now that's what everybody knows about me. So that's cool. If you relate to that, and you can draw inspiration from that or draw value from that, then you're a person that I was trying to reach, and I'm glad I did.
Let's fast forward like a little bit and talk about your time at Sac State,
Hmm.
your time in Sacramento.
Yeah.
First off, what made you? I'm genuinely like curious. What made you decide to come to Sacramento?
Oh, dude, it's not that deep. It was just they were my first. That was the first time I heard the word offer in my
Okay,
life. Offer
okay.
and scholarship in the same sentence. Like, we want to offer you a scholarship. That was the first time I heard all of them words in a row. Um, and so I was going. You know what I mean? I had decided, I think, a couple years before that, like, man, any school that gives me a scholarship, I'm going. Like, whoever wants me, I'm there. So they were the first
Yeah.
ones to be like, we want to offer you a scholarship. And so that was enough. That was enough for me. I didn't take a visit or anything. Um, and I was up there. That was a wrap for me.
I want to talk about your time like in Sacramento, the city. Um, but like also I wonder like if you're comfortable like talking about like your time playing in Sacramento.
Yeah.
I know like I mean obviously like you had a great experience, but also like know that you had some times that were not so great.
Mhm.
Um, is that something you're willing to like talk about, or like what are you willing to like share regarding like your time in Sacramento and how that played out for you?
Uh, well, I mean, I'll just say, like, obviously, I'm not trying to badmouth anything or badmouth any situation.
Yeah.
Um, that's just it was just a place for me. Um, and you should probably cut this out, but that was a place for me that maybe I should have taken a little more time to decide where I wanted to go, and maybe should have taken a little bit more time to get recruited and maybe rack up at least one more offer so that I had an option. Um, but I was desperate. I was desperate to get to where I was going. And when I got there, the coaches weren't really how I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
Things weren't really how I thought it was going to be. So I tried to, I made the best of it. Obviously, that's what I do. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try and, I'm gonna make something out of nothing every time. But it affected me on the court. You know what I mean? And then my first year was hard for me because I kind of struggled with my grades a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Um, and dude, and then Last Chance U came out, so first year I'm struggling with my grades. My coaches are kind of like, dude, like, what the heck? Like, you need to focus, blah, 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 blah. I'm telling them, like, it's hard for me. Like, it's hard for me. I'm out here by myself. Like, I got nobody. Y'all barely talk to me. Like, I only see you guys at practice. Y'all don't help me with nothing, like, outside of anything. Y'all didn't even help me, they didn't even help me find a place to live. So, like, I'm feeling like I have zero relationship with my coaches. I'm not even, it's COVID time, so I'm not even getting to pull up to class. Like everything's online. Hard to motivate myself that way. Um, so it was tough for me. And my first year, my coaches, I think my coaches felt like I needed less distraction. And then Last Chance You came out, and now I'm world
Yeah,
famous. Now I'm a world famous basketball player, and everyone's asking
exactly.
them everywhere they go, Deshaun's on your team? You got Deshaun on the team? And they're like, they're not trying to, blast me. They're not trying to be like, yeah, but he got messed up grades and he doing, like
Yeah,
everyone's trying to just keep it cool, but it wasn't cool. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't as cool as it seemed. It was like they felt that they just it was clear that they felt like I didn't need the distraction of Last Chance You in my life, and that it bothered them that I had those things. It bothered them when we went to the airport and people wanted to take pictures with me. It bothered them when there was games that I uh, sat out, or I would be hurt or something and I wouldn't play, and still people want to come take a picture with me after the game and not any other players. It was, some of that, like people rolling their eyes when fans would come up to talk, like,
yeah,
haterish, a little jealousy is just
exactly.
cool, I guess. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, that's the worst part of what's happened after Last Chance You, is that in the basketball world, I have something that people have always wanted. Everybody
ex-
wants to be a world famous basketball player, and I'm a
exactly.
world famous basketball player.
Yeah,
Why? Not because I'm like an NBA player, but because Netflix chose to come to my school. Everybody knows that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows that that we got lucky by being chosen on that show. And
yeah,
it's God's plan in my eyes. You know what I mean?
exactly.
We was chosen. They can't take that from me. It's just I understand that perspective. I understand where that would come from. And don't get me wrong, it's loads of people who are happy for us, you know what I mean, and they don't let it affect how they view me or my teammates or anybody at all. But there's definitely the people who let that get to them. There's definitely people who have their own perception of how I am now that I'm on Netflix, and it's like, man, I'm just the same dude. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they just shared my story on TV. Like it's not. I'm not walking around with my chest out. Don't talk to me, man. I'm Deshaun, bro. Like I'm on Last Chance You, bro. Like
yeah.
don't talk to me. They
But
think that that's
naturally,
how.
I feel like that just like triggers something like in people's like brains or whatever. They just like see you differently. Like
For
just
sure, for
yeah,
sure, for sure. Even people who I've known my whole life. You know what I mean? People who I went to high school with. All of a sudden, like it's just, hey, what's up, Hollywood? Man, I can't even count the number of times someone be like, what's up, Hollywood, after you haven't seen me in years. You know what I mean? It's like, man, I'm not, like that's just something that's happened for me recently, but it's not, hasn't like, I don't know, hasn't made me a bad person. I'm still the same dude.
let's talk about like the coaches aspect and whatever, and like being in Sac State. Like
Mm-hmm.
one would think like that's like a good thing, like getting all that like recognition, like just getting all that like recognition, like an attention like brought to your school. Like I'll see like I feel like naturally, like I mean people always like make like a negative like thing or whatever, just because I feel like the human mind naturally is just negative, just like makes everything
Mm-hmm.
like negative. But like wouldn't you think like that's supposed to be like a good thing? And like that's like a two-part question. And also like you haven't like shared your experience on that you had like at Sac State, like and how they treated you that way and stuff like that. How come you've kept that like private?
Because it's not, because I'm willing to take everything on the chin. You know what I mean? And understand that I put myself in many of the situations that I was in at Sac State, and that things weren't. I had expectations, and that's a problem for me to deal with. Is that I expected things to go a certain way, and they didn't go that way. And it's
Of
not
course.
my answer to that. My response to that isn't to go out and cry about it. Oh, I didn't. People. like people can see my stats, see what I averaged. I averaged like didn't even average 5 points. I averaged like four
Mhm.
something.
Yeah.
Didn't play well at all. I eat, what I mean, I'm not running from that. I didn't play well. It was hard for me.
I,
It was
I,
hard. It was hard for me. I didn't play well. It doesn't
I
mean I'm a
mean,
bad player.
culture definitely has like a lot to do with that for sure.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
let's
it has a
definitely,
lot to do with that.
yeah.
And a basketball player would understand that. It's not my responsibility, you know what I mean, to explain that to really anybody, but especially
Hmm.
not to somebody who doesn't understand the game and all the ins and outs of it. To me, I always been willing to let people think whatever they want to think, because
Hmm.
when the truth comes out, you're gonna understand, you know what I mean? And it's not that the truth is that I played bad at Sac State. The truth
Yeah.
isn't that I'm a bad player, you know what I mean? And that's the truth. The how I played at Sac State, that's done. That's over with. I can't change that. You want to say anything
Hmm.
about that? Go ahead. Right?
Yeah.
How I feel. Yeah, I played bad. It's my fault. I'll take that. It's nobody's fault. I'm not gonna blame anybody for that. Right? But watch me now, and you decide how you feel about me.
And I've been seeing you now. So let's your time at Columbia.
Uh-huh.
What was that like the first place you played like right after Sac State?
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha. How
Yeah.
how that opportunity come about? And like I definitely like see like clips, highlights, whatnot. Like you seem like you're having like the time of your life up there.
Oh
Let's start
man.
there.
Because okay, so I mean, like first and foremost, I've always wanted to be a professional basketball player, right? And so when my mom, kind of started to see that that's what I was going to do with my life, she told me like, you got, the NBA isn't the only option. Like
Hmm.
you can, don't not play basketball if it doesn't look like you're going to go to the NBA. Like chase that with everything you have, but also understand that when you play basketball and if you're a professional, you're either in the NBA or you're traveling the world. And both of those are really cool.
And
You know, you
your mom always told you that.
My mom taught me that. Yeah,
Wow.
my mom taught me that for sure. My mom is the one who taught me that I can learn how to. She taught me that I could learn how to do anything. That a school that there's schools out there because okay, so like when I was a kid, when you're a kid, you don't really understand the full concept of college. You just when you hear college, you just know that it comes after high school, right? You don't understand like that.
Yep.
It's like you get to pick what you want to learn and da 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 da. She's like,
Hmm.
she asked me like if there's anything that I wanted to be outside of basketball, and I always told her a businessman because I would see people in suits, have money, drive nice cars, blah blah blah. I'm like,
Yep.
I want to do that if I'm not playing basketball. She's like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, dope. Someone will teach you how to do that if you keep good grades up and if you play basketball. And that's what college is. And so like I always understood like, oh, okay, so if I play basketball and I don't make it, like I can still do something that I want to do while using basketball to do that. Like, okay, like
Yeah.
that's, I started being able to put that together. And
Hmm.
then I got to a point where it was like, I'm good enough. Right. I'm not good enough. Obviously, I was like 14, like 13, 14. I'm not good enough right now to be a pro, but I'm good enough. I know how to train enough and I love the game enough to work myself into being a pro of some type. Right. And me and my mom kind of had that conversation. And that's when she kind of told me, like, yeah, like, absolutely. Like, everyone right now has a chance to make it to the NBA, but that chance is slim to none. So don't bank on that. But your plan B doesn't have to be not non basketball. Like, your plan B can be just playing somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's when she taught me either you're playing in the NBA or there's guys that travel the world and play. She didn't know everything. She didn't know, specifically how, which leagues or this and that, but she knew that guys who were professionals outside of the NBA, most of them played in multiple countries and traveled the world for the most part.
So now you're done playing at Columbia. How long was your tenure at Columbia?
3 months both ways. So they got the 3 month season in fall, and a 3 month season in spring. I only played about half of each season. So I was only there for like, I think I was there for 2 months the first time and there for about a month and a half the second time. Um, and so it was good. It was a good taste for me because um I know most leagues that I'm gonna end up playing in are like 5 to 7, even 9 months sometimes. So it was a good little taste for me to go over there, live in another country for that long of a time. Um, kind of let me decide like if it's really what I want to, what I want to pursue, or if I want to, get into, just get into social media, get into coaching, get into training, stuff like that. Just, non playing stuff. It's a variety of things that I want to do after I'm done playing. But um, yeah, it was definitely a good vehicle for me to decide if I wanted to keep going and keep pursuing this overseas thing, which I absolutely do.
Okay, that was definitely like my next question.
Yeah.
Recently you were playing Venice ball, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I definitely saw like that I mean that bounce pass was definitely like crazy, by the way. Just to like let you know.
I appreciate it.
That was, is that something you're still doing now? Are you in LA?
Yeah, well, yeah. So I stay at Riverside right now. Came back home. And yeah, man, I'm just enjoying my summer. So the Venice League is every weekend. I play with Team Hamilton out there. Some weekends I play, some weekends I don't.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, that was a league. That was a league again. I mean, my mom was everything to me. So like when I was a kid, we would always take trips to the beach. Me, my mom, my cousin, and my auntie, and we'd always take trips to the beach. And that was my mom's favorite beach, was Venice Beach. And naturally, it became my beach because I mean they got the basketball courts there. So what other beach am I gonna go to? You know what I mean? Like that's the one for me. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, it's the coolest beach on the planet, bro. Like, what other beach has four full court basketball courts right there on the, like 20 feet from the sand? And so I grew up going there, shoot, every weekend, some summers, and they would be playing. The Venice League is old. Nico been doing it a long time. Shout out Nico. Um, he's the guy that runs it. Um, he's built it from the ground up with the help of a lot of people. It hasn't been a one man show, but
Hmm.
they built that thing from the ground up. And when I was a kid, you know, they be playing. They had T-shirts back then. Now they have jerseys and all this stuff, and sponsored by Puma. But back then they were just playing T-shirts. It was like a T-shirt league. And I'd ask my mom, like, "Yo, like, is this like, are they really playing?" Because like I'm 4 or 5 years old walking up to the beach and I'm seeing refs and jerseys and I'm like, what's this? Like, yeah, there's the NBA, but these guys are playing at the beach. Like, this is dope. What's this? What I mean? My mom taught me, like, yeah, it's the Venice League. They come up, they play every weekend, in the summertime. And so that's where I first learned about it. And then as I grew up, just going to the beach, I'd always see it. I'd always see him playing, always see him playing. So when I grew up, like when I got older, got grown, um, able to put myself in positions, I messaged the Instagram account like, "Yo, I've been watching this league since I was a kid. Like, always wanted to play. Like, what do I got to do to get in?" You know what I mean? And they mess with me. Been playing there for about this my third summer. It's my third summer out there. And shoot, I'll go play at the beach every summer until I'm 50 years old, until I can't walk anymore, man.
So let's one does Deshaun Highler, would you say that you have like any insecurities?
um, nah, not none that I've like, not none that I haven't dealt with. You know what I mean? Like, you
Okay.
say I got a big head. Like, all right, yeah, I got a big head. That's cool. You know what I'm
But
saying? Guy, hey man, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, yeah, you definitely don't strike me as someone that's like lacking in confidence whatsoever. Like,
yeah, man. I never really have been. It's not like, because I think that the things that like a lot of people like are insecure about is just like everybody has something, right? Like everybody got something, so it's like you might as well
yeah,
just vibe out, bro. Like nobody's perfect. You know what I mean? Just rock out, just be you. You know what I mean? I think bro, people are, and what I've learned just getting older, and even just dealing with women in the past, dealing with my girl now, is like your authenticity. You know what I mean? Being authentically being a cool, kind, happy, good, genuine person that you want to be around is, I mean, that's a million. It was worth a million times more than whatever you look like.
that's preach, bro.
You know what I mean? Don't matter how you look. If you light up the room, somebody gonna want you around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Um, Mm, the best advice I've ever received.
And that's gonna segue into a different question.
Yeah, the best advice I've ever received is that it's very simple. Things aren't always going to be as comfortable as you want them to. That's it. It's that simple. And you can just deal with that. Like anytime. And that comes from my mentor, Coach P, Marvin Lee, Riverside basketball legend, my AAU coach. And it was fun. It was funny the way that advice actually happened. Like it just kind of a random situation. We were in the car and a college coach was calling him about one of our players and he lost signal on his phone.
Mm-hmm.
It was an intense conversation. They was talking about money. It was stuff involved. You know what I mean? It sounded like a really important conversation.
Okay.
It dropped. You know what I mean? Call dropped. He didn't have service anymore. He couldn't call it back. And I was like, I was looking at him like, yo, like you gonna like you gonna call him back? What you doing? He's like, things not gonna be as comfortable as you want it all the time. I was like, you damn right. Like, he's like, yeah, just basically just relax. You know what I mean? Like just chill. You know what I mean? Things ain't going right. Things ain't going right. Just control what you can control and understand things aren't always gonna be as comfortable as you want them all the time.
And just like let the universe like handle the rest the way it
Let it
sounds
handle,
like.
man. Let it handle. It's just like a simplified version of control what you can control, right? Just control. Just it's just another way of saying control what you can control. That's also the best advice I've gotten. It's just best advice I've gotten is all cliches, man. Like in cliches, I've
It,
always said cliches are cliches for a reason because they work and they're real. Yeah, I mean, control what you can control is one of the best cliches out there because it'll save you from a lot of pain and a lot of stress. Um, because I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've just sat down and been had no motion just because I'm thinking about something that I can't control or can't change the outcome of anymore. Versus all the time I've gained, all the things that I've been able to accomplish by being like, let me just do what I can. Let me control what I want to control. Let me control what I can control. Because things aren't going to be as comfortable as I want them to be all the time. Even when my mom passed, that's advice that I turned to.
wow.
Things aren't going to be as comfortable as we want them all the time. And that's okay. Who are you? Right? That's the question you got to answer. When things are uncomfortable and the situation isn't what you thought it was going to be, you're going to find out, are you who you thought you were? Are you who you thought you are? Or who you think you are? Are you the person that you think you are? I think people are faced with that question more often than they're willing to admit. And I think people are scared by that answer that comes up is because most of the times, most of the time when you reach, I mean, shoot, when I reached you know, the point of realizing that my mom was gone and that she wasn't coming back,
Mm-hmm.
I had to really think about like who I am and what I'm gonna do with the rest of my life because now I have the rest of my life to live. Who am I now? Am I the tough all or nothing basketball player that I thought I was? Or am I or am I something else? You know,
Yeah.
am I something else?
Are you a person of like? Are you a person of faith?
Yeah, I have my own developed my own beliefs, I think, and I won't even say I've developed my own beliefs. I'll say I'm developing my own beliefs, and I think that it's a lot. I think that's a life's journey. I think that we starve ourselves if we decide early on how
Okay.
we think everything is and
Mm-hmm.
just come up with the answer right off the bat. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, it's no fault of their own. You know what I mean? Like I don't judge anybody. You know what I mean? I don't judge any religion. I don't judge anybody for any of
Mm.
their beliefs. And I think that's my favorite part of having my own beliefs is like understanding like we all just come up with our own way of making sense of this. And we can feel that we're right. You know what I mean? We can feel
Mm-hmm.
that we have the answer, we have the truth. And when you're willing to accept it, you can, you know what I mean? I'm not that
Yeah,
guy. Like,
yeah.
I'm just
Mhm.
like, feel like this life, man, like, like however you can make sense of it, however you can make sense of why you are here and what you're supposed to do, figure that out. Like that's your job. It's not your job to figure out why everybody's here. It's your job to figure out why you're here, what you're here to do. If you can figure that out, whatever brings that to you, glory to you, power to you. You've done your job in my eyes. That's why I feel we're here. Is just for that journey.
I couldn't agree more, bro. What advice would you give to someone? I mean, I feel like you kind of answered this like previously, but let's see if you have anything else to add. What advice would you give to someone who's in a low place mentally and like someone that doesn't see a way out of that low place?
Mm, someone that doesn't see a way out of that low place. Yeah, understand that there is a way out. It's hard. I mean, I know I know how hard that is and how easy that sounds from the outside looking in. Um, and it might sound like you don't know me, you don't know what I'm going through. You're right. You're right. But what I can tell you is that there's something that you can do to affect your situation positively. And if you can figure that out, and if you can figure out how to stack positive action, then you find yourself chasing that every day unconsciously, and that can relieve you of some pain. What I'll tell you about your pain is that it's rarely gonna disappear. It's rarely gonna go away. Um, it's rarely gonna transform into motivation. That's fake. When people say like, "Oh, just turn it into motivation," it's not that. That's not what you're doing.
Mhm.
Don't feel bad if you can't turn your pain into motivation, because you're not supposed to turn your pain into motivation. You're supposed to feel it. Supposed to feel it. Supposed to come to an understanding with it. Supposed to have a relationship with it. You don't ever let it beat you. Never let it beat you. But you understand that it's not who you. It doesn't define you. Understand that your situation doesn't define you. The things that you've been through don't define you. The things that you're gonna go through don't define you. The only thing that defines you is how you respond on a day to day, how you treat people, how you treat yourself. Focus on those things every day. Find yourself being a good person, and you'll find you'll love yourself more. You'll love yourself more than reveling in your pain and being a drain of energy instead of being a fountain.
Word, word. So what's the next step for you in basketball, bro?
Man, I'm just playing as much as possible right now. Like I said, enjoying my summer. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing in any basketball summer events that I can find. Go up to Venice. Still looking for some Drew League opportunities. Yeah, I mean any basketball things I can get my hands into. Really taking care of my body right now. Um, building my strength, building my knees and my leg strength up. Um, yeah, and just really focusing on having a pro body, getting my jumper to a pro level. And yeah, I'm looking for an opportunity in Asia or Europe specifically.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I feel like we've been kind of like talking about like we've been focused on basketball. But is there kind of like anything like outside of like basketball that you also like would want to like accomplish like when it's all like said and done? Is there anything like you kind of you have your sight set on currently?
Yes. Um, I do have a clothing brand that I'm looking to relaunch this fall. Um,
Yeah.
that's cool, but that's a little side thing. Outside of basketball, outside of playing, Yes, outside of basketball, not really, because of all of my I want to have a gym one day, so that has to do with basketball. There's an event that I want to set up, uh, a basketball event that I want to set up, the East End weekend that I want to set up in my city. And I want to have that be an annual thing. Um, Shoot, and there's other things that I've already said too much. You know what I mean? Or I've already said a little bit too much. But yeah, I've got some things in the pot, man. I've got some things cooking.
Yeah, man, keep it coming. Want to hear it all?
Oh yeah, man. No, I can't be giving out the sauce. Somebody with more resources than me gonna take my ideas. You know how it goes. You know how it goes. I gotta wait for the right positioning.
True, true, true to that. So, other than like being on the court, where else can we find Deshaun?
Shoot, you probably nowhere. I'll just be hanging out. I'll just be hanging out with my girl, man. It's gonna be hard to
Okay.
find me. I'll
Yeah,
be trying to stay low key. I don't. I hang out with my girl. I hang out with the crib, play video
yeah.
games. I come out to play basketball and make money. That's really it. Um, I'm chilling, man. I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm cool. I got
Yeah,
I got what I need.
I can definitely respect that. Um, so I kind of like want to like this is the first like episode essentially of like my podcast,
Yeah,
and I want to like start asking like this questions to like even like people that come on like later on.
sure.
What advice would you give to like your younger self if you're able to go back in time?
Mm, do more. Put more into the game. Like put more into the game. I would tell myself like I would have to sit down with my younger self and the younger version of my mom, and I would have to tell her like, look, school is serious, but it's not as he needs to spend more time playing basketball. Like I would definitely have to have that sit down and be like, we got to spend more time hooping because we spent way too much time stressing about homework and class, and we got the 4.0. We got the, what I mean, we finished school with the 4.0. We got it, we did it, woohoo.
Mhm.
Right, but our goal had more to do with basketball, and we would have been maybe better off in that realm had we focused more on that. So I think that would be my advice is like is don't let school slip, but spend more time in the gym.
I feel like that's like the perfect like spots like end on. But bro, like I really appreciate you for coming on for sure. Like that means a lot, like 100%,
Okay,
bro. And like let's definitely like connect soon.
yeah,
But yeah, man, I appreciate you.
for sure. Where you at? You still in SAC?
Right now I'm in Arizona, so I'm finishing up my graduate program, and I should be
Word,
graduating in December. But like I'm in SAC like every month essentially.
word.
How often you go back to SAC?
Shoot, I only went back there to get my car, bro. I don't know if I'm gonna be back there. You might have to let me know when you're in LA.
No, I'm always in LA too.
Oh,
That's what I
bet.
was about to say. It's like I mean, like when I'm in LA, I'm gonna definitely like hit you without a doubt,
Oh
and
yeah.
like let's definitely like link up.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, maybe y'all can like get me like a jersey for like Venice basketball. I haven't played like in a minute, but like I mean,
Hell
shit,
yeah.
I could still do like a little something something.
Hell yeah. Come out, get you some minutes.
All right, bet, man. But yeah, I appreciate you again, man. We'll wrap soon. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Hit me.
I
Hey,
got
what's the
you.
name of your show, bro, by the way?
Unbothered.
Unbothered. This is this is the Unbothered podcast. Been talking with Deshaun. Shout out my guy.
Love, bro.
All right, bro. Peace.
Peace, bro. Love.